Good evening, students. Today, once again, I'm with you with a new topic, that is a short story titled The Demon Lover by Elizabeth Bowen. You know very well that the literature based on the themes and concepts related with the ghost are very popular. Writings like the Ulysses, written by James Joyce, Wuthering Heights by Bronte's sister, are very popular. Even today they are read. The most important writer like Mary Shelley produced a beautiful novel titled Frankenstein. All these novels are very popular even today. They are widely read, appreciated, criticized. Not for any reason, but for the very important the theme of mysteriousness. They are kind of a mystery writings, and this literature has been considered as a literature based on the themes of the ghost. And The Demon Lover by Elizabeth Bowen is addition to this tradition of Bronte sisters. The total background of the short story is Second World War and its repercussions. The short story, The Demon Lover, has been written by Elizabeth Bowen, and she has set it during the Second World War. When moving to extensive German bombing called Blitz, most residents of London had sought refuge in the countryside. People ran away towards the countryside just to safeguard themselves from the bombardment of the Nazi military. So, Kathleen Drover, a main character of a story, a woman, also lives for her place in a countryside, and now she has returned to her house in London during this time to collect items that she will take back to her family in the country, where they are all living together, and to save themselves from the bombs, they are dependent on the love and cooperation of the countryside people. Meanwhile, she reflects on how her family has grown accustomed to life in the country, and on how empty and damaged the street is. The story beautifully narrates the deserted lanes and streets of the London city. It requires an effort on her part to get into the house because it has been shut up for so long a time. But following a struggle with the front door, she manages to get inside the home. So what happens? Since inside the house, she reflects on how dirty and damp her family house has become. And she feels entirely estranged from this once family setting as Mrs. Stover makes her way upstairs. She sees a letter on the hall table. Its very appearance, never mind the lack of a stamp and the fact it is addressed to her, makes no sense, as nobody has been inside the house for some time and no one knows she is due to be there today. So Though reluctant to read the letter, Mrs. Dover does so upstairs in her bedroom. The, the sender writes, "You will not have forgotten that today is our anniversary, and that you may expect me, therefore, at the hour arranged." Strangely, it seems the sender has been observing her for some time and has knowledge of her life and her moments over the years. It is also clear that the sender believes Mrs. Dover has made him a promise, though it is little clear what exactly this promise entails. The brief message, signed K, reminds her of a promise that she made 25 years ago when she was engaged to a soldier who later died in the World War I. The sender states that he is sure that even though the Kathleen has left London, she will keep the rendezvous. She is frightened not only by a message but also by the mysterious means by which it has found its way to her. She is also intrigued by the fact that her every action may have been under observation by a known person. When Mrs. Dover reads the letter, the past floods into the present moment. The suggestion that the sender has been observing her for some time and expects her to keep a promise she made a long time ago also reaffirms this sense of the past taking over the present. The fact that the terms of the promise are not sufficed seems ominous. She is expected to understand what the sender means and fulfill her mysterious obligation that she is not aware of. Though disturbed by the contents of the letter and the fact that it is marked with that day's date, Mrs. Dover attempts to ignore it. She goes to the mirror to study her own reflection. So, where she is confronted by a woman of 44, and she describes how she has aged and how giving birth to the children has taken a toll on her body. She next attempts to distract herself by going through a cheat and retrieving the items she has come to collect. But she cannot stop looking at the letter on the bed. As the clock strikes 6, she anxiously begins to wonder which precise hour the letter refers to. She remembers the unnatural promise that he exacted from her, her most vivid remembrance of him. However, it tactile the feel of the brass button of the uniform against her hand, and she looks to see if the imprint of it is still on her palm. The 25 years that have passed since their last meeting dissolve like smoke in her moment of present awareness. She thinks that she cannot remember what her lover did to make her flight into sister stop. But as she recovers the emotions that occasioned the promise, she remembers what she cannot remember is her lover's face. So she recalls that this death caused in her dislocation. She remembers that in the last week of his leave, she was not herself. She also remembers her parents' relief that their daughter would not marry the mysterious young man to whom she had engaged herself. So the story uses the technique of psychoanalysis, sometimes the stream of consciousness, and even sometimes the flashback technique. So finally, the end of the story is also interesting. When we find Kathleen screaming in the taxi, the story highlights how anxious, frightened, and angry she is because Suddenly, being frightened by the situation there existing in the building, she runs away. She thinks of calling a taxi driver, but even before her call, the taxi is already there before the home. So she goes and sits in. A man who she would not recognize is taking a claim to her heart without her permission. The story is based solely on her on her naivety or innocence when she was young. She is being forced into something that she is not willing to participate to. Though she may never marry Kay, the fact that he has come back into her life 25 years later suggests that she has not forgotten her promise despite the fact that she is married and has children. This memory is sure to reassure at another time and bring further disruption to her life. Her condition in the taxi recounts that she has been facing a very real and personal war. And this personal war is in her mind, which is not in her hand. This could be the result of the stress caused by the war. Totally, the whole atmosphere covered in the story is the result of the repercussions and effects of the First and Second World War. It is not a question of belief and disbelief, whether we believe it or not, but the story writer Elizabeth Bowen is trying to explain us that there is a world beyond our world. There are some agencies which are leading and ruling our life without our permission. So Elizabeth Bowen's writing Demon Lover is even today read, enjoyed and appreciated because the condition of the Kathleen Drover gets connected with our conditions in a very disturbed social condition. So next time we will meet with another important story based on the theme of the ghost. Until then, bye, good night.